The darkness falls. The emergency klaxons died with a mechanical wheeze, leaving only the echo of Lena Vasquez's ragged breathing in the narrow maintenance tunnel. Above them, the dying star's crimson light no longer filtered through the observation. Ports! The entire Deep Horizon station had gone dark. "Stay close," whispered Rin Cade, his voice unusually steady for someone trapped 3 levels below the main deck. His pale hand found hers in the darkness, fingers surprisingly warm despite the station's failing life support. Lena's engineering training kicked in as she fumbled for her emergency toolkit. The portable light cast eerie shadows on the cramped tunnel walls, revealing conduits and pipes that seemed to pulse like arteries in the flickering glow. She'd been working on the thermal regulators when the power grid collapsed, a routine maintenance job that had become a nightmare. The backup generator should have engaged by now, she muttered, checking her scanner. The readings made her stomach drop. Oxygen levels are falling faster than they should. Something's wrong with the atmospheric processors. Rin moved with an odd grace in the confined space, his movements too fluid for someone supposedly raised on the heavy-gravity mining world of Kepler 442b. She'd always noticed little things about him, how he never seemed tired during double shifts, how his eyes reflected light strangely in the corridor lamps, how he could hear conversations from impossible distances. A grinding sound echoed from somewhere above them, metal against metal, followed by what sounded almost like breathing, but not human breathing. Something deeper, more deliberate. "We need to move," Rin said, his usual hesitation replaced by something that sounded almost like authority. "The service shaft connects to the central hub. If we can reach the manual override—" Another sound cut him off, a scraping that seemed to follow them through the walls. Lena's hands shook as she traced their position on her scanner. According to the schematics, they were alone in this section. "The reading said otherwise." "Rin," she whispered, grabbing his arm. "There's something else down here with us." His muscles tensed under her grip, and for a moment she could have sworn she felt his pulse racing at twice the normal human rate. In the dim light, his features seemed sharper somehow, more angular than she remembered. "I know," he said quietly. "I've been tracking it since the lights went out." The simple statement sent chills down her spine. How could he know? How could he track anything in this darkness? But before she could ask, another sound echoed through the tunnels, closer this time, and definitely not mechanical. Something was hunting them in the dark, beneath the surface. The service tunnel branched ahead, 3 passages leading deeper into Deep Horizon's mechanical heart. Lena's scanner showed a maze of conduits and maintenance shafts, but the atmospheric readings were becoming increasingly erratic, as if something was interfering with the station's environmental systems. "Left passage," Rin said before she could check her readings. His certainty bothered her more than the dying oxygen levels. "How do you know that?" Lena demanded, playing her light across the tunnel markers. The left passage wasn't even marked on her schematics. Rin paused, and in that moment of hesitation, she saw something flicker across his features, a vulnerability she'd never noticed before. "I've studied the station layouts extensively. Security protocols require—" "You're lying." The words escaped before she could stop them. 3 years of working alongside him, 3 years of quiet conversations during night shifts, and she'd never questioned his background stories. Now, trapped in the dark with something hunting them, every inconsistency seemed glaring. The scraping sound returned, closer now, accompanied by a low vibration that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Rin's hand found the small of her, back, guiding her forward with a protectiveness that felt both comforting and unsettling. "There are things about me you wouldn't understand," he said softly. "Things I couldn't tell you." They moved through the left passage, and Lena realized he was right. It did connect to the central hub. But her scanner showed structural configurations that shouldn't exist, passages that extended far beyond the station's official blueprints. "The breathing sounds," she whispered. You hear them too, don't you? Rin nodded grimly. They're not random. Whatever's up there is searching methodically. It knows the station layout as well as we do, maybe better. A new fear crept into Lena's mind. The other crew members, Martinez, Thompson, Dr. Voss, are they safe? I don't know. His honesty was more frightening than a lie would have been. Communication went down before I could warn them. They reached a junction where her portable light revealed claw marks scored deep into the metal walls. The gouges were too large for human hands, too precise for accident. Something with significant strength had passed this way recently. Rin examined the marks with an expertise that made Lena's skin crawl. It's hunting in a pattern, he said, working from the outer sections toward the core. How do you know that? He looked at her then, really looked at her, and she saw something in his eyes that made her breath catch, not fear. Recognition. As if he knew exactly what was stalking them through the station's darkened corridors. Because, he said quietly, I've seen this kind of hunt before. The admission hung between them like a confession, and Lena realized that everything she thought she knew about Rin Cade was about to change. The truth, unveiled. The central hub's emergency lighting cast a hellish red glow over the station's nerve center. Banks of dead monitors reflected their faces like accusatory mirrors, and the silence was broken only by the steady hiss of failing life support systems. Lena worked frantically at the manual override console, her engineering expertise the only thing standing between them and suffocation. But her hands shook as she felt Rin's eyes on her, really seeing her for the first time, as if he was memorizing every detail. Atmospheric processors are completely offline, she reported, trying to focus on the technical problem. Whatever hit us, it knew exactly which systems to target. Rin moved to the secondary console with practiced efficiency, his fingers dancing across controls she'd never seen him use before. The movements were too quick, too precise. No human could navigate the station's backup systems that smoothly. Rin, she said slowly, how do you know those control sequences? He froze, his hands hovering over the interface. In the red emergency lighting, his skin seemed to shimmer with an almost translucent quality she'd never noticed before. When he turned to face her, there was something different in his posture, a kind of alien grace that made her stomach clench, with recognition. I've been trying to find the right words for 3 years, he said quietly. The right way to tell you without losing everything. Above them, something heavy moved across the ceiling with deliberate predatory steps. The sound of metal bending under significant weight echoed through the hub, but neither of them looked up. They were too focused on each other, on the moment that would change everything between them. Tell me what? Lena whispered, though part of her already knew. Rin closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they caught the emergency lighting in a way that was definitely not human. I'm not from Kepler 442b. I'm not even from this galaxy. My people, we call ourselves the Keth Mori. We've been watching your species for decades. The words hit her like decompression, stealing her breath. Watching us? For what? To understand. To learn. To find your weaknesses. His voice cracked with emotion. I was sent here as an observer, to integrate with your crew and report back on human psychological patterns, your capacity for violence, your breaking points, your fear responses. Lena backed away from him, her mind reeling. Every conversation they'd shared, every quiet moment during the night shifts, every time she'd trusted him with her thoughts and fears, all of it had been a lie. 3 years, she breathed. 3 years of friendship, of falling in love with you, Rin finished, his alien features somehow more beautiful in their honesty. That wasn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to remain detached, clinical. But watching you work, seeing your determination, your compassion even in crisis, you changed everything. The ceiling groaned ominously above them, and something that sounded like claws scraped against metal. But Lena couldn't look away from Rin's face, from the desperate truth in his inhuman eyes. "The creature hunting us," she said, understanding, flooding through her. "It's not random, is it?" Rin's expression grew grave. "No. It's here for me." The hunter's purpose, the revelation hung between them like a charged particle field, crackling with implications. Lena's mind raced through every interaction they'd shared, every moment she'd trusted him, every time she'd felt that inexplicable connection that had always seemed too perfect to be real. "Your people sent it," she said, the pieces falling into place with horrible clarity. "You've been compromised." Rin nodded, his alien features taut with anguish. "I was supposed to submit reports every lunar cycle. I stopped 3 months ago. When I didn't respond to extraction protocols, they sent a Keth Mori hunter to either retrieve me or eliminate the security breach." The scraping sounds above them had grown more systematic, methodical. Whatever was hunting them was taking its time, confident in its prey. Lena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the failing life support. "You put the entire crew at risk," she said, but there was less anger in her voice than she expected. Instead, she found herself studying the way the emergency lighting played across his features, highlighting the subtle inhumanity she'd somehow missed for 3 years. "I know." His voice carried the weight of genuine remorse. "I should have left when I realized what was happening to me. But I couldn't. Every day I stayed made it harder to imagine a universe without you in it." Above them, the ceiling panels began to buckle. Dust and debris rained down as something massive moved with predatory patience. The hunter wasn't just tracking them, it was playing with them, the way a cat plays with wounded prey. "What does it want with you?" Lena asked, her engineering mind, already working on solutions despite the emotional turmoil. "To bring me home for reconditioning, or to kill me and eliminate any evidence of Keth Mori observation protocols." Rin's expression darkened. "Either way, it can't leave witnesses." The implication hit her like a plasma discharge. "The crew, everyone on this station, will be considered a security risk," Rin confirmed. "I'm sorry, Lena. I never meant for any of this to happen." But Lena was already moving, her hands flying over the console interfaces with renewed purpose. "The emergency protocols," she muttered, calling up schematics she'd memorized during countless maintenance cycles. "If we can trigger a controlled decompression in sections 7 through 12, you can't fight a Keth Mori hunter with human technology," Rin said desperately. "They're designed to be apex predators. Faster, stronger, more resilient than anything your species has encountered." Lena looked at him then, really looked at him, and saw not the alien infiltrator but the man who'd brought her coffee during double shifts, who'd listened to her ramble about engine specifications, who'd never once made her feel like her dedication to her work was anything less than admirable. "Maybe," she said, her voice steady despite the danger. "But it's never had to deal with human stubbornness, and it doesn't know this station like I do." The ceiling finally gave way with a sound like thunder, and something dropped into the hub with predatory grace. In the red emergency lighting, Lena caught a glimpse of sleek, angular features that were clearly related to Rin's, but twisted into something purely predatory. The hunter had found them. Love in the darkness. The Keth Mori hunter was beautiful in the way that death could be beautiful, elegant, efficient, and absolutely terrifying. Its features were a predatory refinement of Rin's alien characteristics, with skin that seemed to absorb light and eyes that reflected the emergency illumination like polished obsidian. "Rin Keth." It spoke in a voice like liquid mercury, the words carrying harmonics that made Lena's bones ache. "You have forgotten your purpose." Rin stepped, protectively in front of Lena, his own features shifting subtly as alien instincts took over. "I found a better purpose, Vorthak. One worth dying for." The hunter's laugh was like breaking glass. The human female. Yes, we monitored your emotional degradation. Fascinating how quickly your species succumbs to attachment disorders. Lena felt something snap inside her chest, not fear, but fury. Attachment disorders? She said, stepping out from behind Rin despite his protective gesture. Is that what you call love? Vorthak's obsidian gaze fixed on her with clinical interest. You speak as if the emotion has meaning beyond biological programming. How delightfully primitive. Primitive? Lena's voice carried the edge of 3 years' worth of suppressed doubts suddenly crystallizing into certainty. We may be primitive, but at least we understand what it means to choose who we want to be. Her hands moved across the console with practiced efficiency, initiating a cascade of systems checks that would seem like random diagnostics to alien eyes. But Rin understood. She saw the recognition in his expression as he realized what she was planning. Lena. No, he whispered. The risk is mine to take, she said firmly, never taking her eyes off the hunter. You spent 3 years watching us, studying our weaknesses, but did you ever study our strengths? Vorthak moved closer, its predatory grace making even Rin seem clumsy by comparison. Human strengths, your capacity for self-deception, your willingness to die for abstract concepts. Our capacity for sacrifice, Lena corrected. Our willingness to choose love over survival. The final sequence activated with a soft chime that seemed impossibly loud in the sudden silence. The station's emergency systems engaged not for evacuation, but for something far more drastic, a controlled plasma discharge that would turn the central hub into a miniature star for exactly 3.7 seconds, long enough to sterilize anything within a 50-meter radius. The detonation will destroy the entire section, Vorthak hissed, its composure cracking for the first time. I know, Lena said calmly. Rin, can your people survive that kind of energy discharge? His alien features were stark with understanding. No, but neither can you. She turned to face him then, drinking in every detail of his inhuman beauty. I've been in love with an alien for 3 years without knowing it. Turns out species doesn't matter as much as I thought. The countdown reached 10 seconds. Vorthak moved with desperate speed, but Rin intercepted the hunter with a fury that spoke of 3 years of suppressed protective instincts finally unleashed. 5 seconds. Lena reached for Rin's hand, finding it warm and familiar despite everything that had changed between them. For what it's worth, she said softly, I'm glad you chose me over your mission. 3 seconds. Rin's alien features softened into something that transcended species, pure love, honest and unguarded. For what it's worth, he replied, you taught me what it means to be human. The plasma discharge lit up the station like a dying star, and in that moment of brilliant destruction, 2 hearts that had found each other across the impossible gulf of space beat as one, human and alien, mortal and eternal, choosing love in the darkness.